Yeah, what it is. This your host of the night, King Eric, and you're now tuned in to a very exclusive episode of Off the Cuff Radio, sponsored by Buddy Boy Entertainment, sponsored by Da Vinci Clothing, sponsored by Core Financial, Jesse's Boutiques, and man, we got a dope lineup tonight, man. We got a double header lined up. This cat on the line right now is putting it down behind the scenes for a lot of the music that you hear in Atlanta. He's real trap heavy out there. Networking game is down pat. Got a new project in the works, and he's just getting started. And he's right here on Off the Cuff Radio. So without further ado, I want to bring on YDG, a.k.a. YDG GON FIX IT. Let's go.
What's going on? Appreciate you for having me.
Brother.
Chilling, man.
What's
Chilling.
going
Just
on,
left
my
the
man?
studio.
How's everything out there?
It's all right, man. Work non-stop. Just left the studio. Probably going to go back to the studio again in a couple of hours. I got to make some beats tonight.
Definitely, man. And before we get things started, man, I'm going to let people know that the call number is 516-531-9596. And in case you want to chime in or show some love. So with that being said, man, hope everything is good with you tonight, bro. How you doing?
I'm all right, man. Taking it a day at a time. Just trying to stay consistent, keep the work flowing, good vibes.
So with everybody that's already in tune and they're tuning on to this show, man, tell them what you got going on for the fall coming up. Cause, it's officially fall season and we going into the winter. We in the third, fourth quarter. Tell us what you got going on, man.
I got a couple of singles. I got a lot of singles. I ain't gonna lie. I'm trying to decide if I'm gonna just make it an album, but I got a couple of big OGs in the area. That's having me take my time, just drop singles and just do some videos, and put some visuals out. So I'm working on visuals. I got more singles behind this one. I got a couple of artists I'm collabing with. I got some producers I'm collabing with on album material type. So, trying to put that work in there, get the interviews rolling, get some vlogging, trying to get the traveling with it, get on some tours, make it happen for 2022.
Yeah, especially with things it's slowly opening back up. But y'all been pretty much been wide open and moving out in there, hey?
Yeah, it's like we supposed to been shut down, but somehow you gonna make it work whether you can't be outside, So yeah, you got the virtual, but we got some people still be hands on that just ease their way here. Like just quarantine there for a couple of days before they go back, type of shit, But other than that, yeah, that's what's going on.
Yeah, because a lot of people, everybody's looking at Atlanta as like the new Hollywood now, man, because everybody else, for the most part, been closed up. So they looking at y'all like, man, this is where the fun is at. This is where cats got to get that bag at. Y'all pretty much the mecca.
You right. You right. And a lot of people don't move down here. Like, a lot of people has moved to Atlanta. Our population don't went up. It's ridiculous.
And not to mention, man, a lot of things is happening out there. Like, I see a lot of rappers buying land out there. It's like ATL was like, as Fat Joe would say, the price range went up out there. You know what I mean?
Facts. Hopefully everybody do the right thing. Like you got some people they don't take control of the motive of what you're supposed to do with what you're getting yourself into. You buying land, you really supposed to have a purpose for this land. But you gonna build a city on this land. I know me, I'm gonna try to build my own little city. I ain't gonna cap you down. I'm gonna have a couple of studios. There's gonna be a couple of little retails. And I'm gonna have a whole community on the other side of the land. Like, I'm trying to put it together. But I just be hoping everybody be on the good road, and they stick to the good road of the purpose. And some people, they miss that. Like, I know a couple of people down here that don't bought land and they don't. There's nothing going on with it. It's just sitting. I'm like, we getting old. You know, we got to do something with it. We got a younger generation to, you know, got to give them something to lean back on when they get old.
Exactly. And talking about with Atlanta being the place of black-owned and entrepreneurship, tell us about growing up in Atlanta during your era, and what was that like?
Growing up in my era, right, like, you know, when I say I got interested in the music, I was young. I was a baby young. I was like 3, 4, 5, 6 young. So, you know, Freaknik was going on around that time. You know, some of the old projects were still up. You know, like the streets, the game, it wasn't like it is today. You know, it was a little more smoother. You know, and so it was I can't lie and say I don't miss the old school vibes because it was more cooler and calmer than what it is now. Now everything is kind of nonchalant, uppity. Oh, you got to be this. Oh, you got to be that. It's too much. It's like it's adding more to the create. I feel like the society ain't nothing but a creation. So all this that's going on now is nothing but it's just adding to the society. It's adding to the creation and causing what it's causing. But you know, for each his own.
You know, it's wild that you mentioned that because it's like from people, because I have family out there in Atlanta as well, and they tell me it's like two different worlds. Like from the 90s when you had the Goody Mob and you had So Def and Outkast and all those guys, they was blowing up, to like the 2000s where BMF came through. They changed the whole landscape.
Facts. And now it's out of the young generation. Right now it's the young generation wave. I'm talking about you can like Lil Baby, right? What his name? Rollo Rodriguez. Thug himself. Like it's the younger generation lead now. That's the way it's going on. Like I commend the generation, but they still a little sloppy. I feel like, as I said, I like how the old school used to move. It was a little more calmer, a little more organized, all that good stuff. You know what I mean? Now these days it don't take much, but it do take much. So it causes confusion because some might not know what it takes. Some do know what it takes, but it still might not work. You know what I mean? It causes a lot of confusion because it's just so much now. But as far as the lifestyle, you know, you got the regular lifestyle when you're a regular civilian. You know, you got your 9 to 5, or you just, you know, in the house, at the house, trapped, whatever. And then you got the industry lifestyle. Now, the industry lifestyle got its own categories in Atlanta because it's like you got those who don't rap, but they around all the rappers, and these are the ones that's kind of popping in the streets. Like everybody in the street, you know who these folks is. So you know, yeah, man, you know, yeah, that's what's going on. And you got the side that want to not be a part of that because you know they don't move like that. The lifestyle in the industry now, everything going on at nighttime, man. We out at nighttime. Like the old school, they say the freaks come out at night. Oh, yeah, that was going on right now. That was going on. Niggas don't book studio time until...
It seems like now Atlanta is the place that don't sleep. It used to be New York City. Now it's Atlanta.
Right. You know what I mean? It's crazy. And it's like it's all a recycle because you gonna, like I can say the next generation, you bound to see something familiar. from the previous generation or decades ago. But it's up to people like me, you, the fabulous DJs, the fabulous A&Rs, and the CEOs to, make that recycle go around the right way.
Major facts there, man. Now, going back into your music, like, style-wise, like, who were your inspirations to make it be like, okay, this guy's a motivation for me to want to craft my own style?
I can say, by Jazzy Fizzle, I used to listen to a lot of his beats. I used to listen to a lot of Bone Thugs and Harmony when I was growing up. Like, I was 2 years old one night. You know the little toy? Are you familiar with the little toys our parents used to buy us? You pull the stick and the little thing in the middle, they spin around and, they make a little noise.
Yeah.
They select something and they play something. All right. I had that. I had a little tape recorder, and I had a little boombox speaker. I might have put some Bone Thugs and Harmony in the boombox speaker and play. I hit record on the tape recorder, and I pulled a little stick and started like I'm DJing or something.
Oh.
And it's like, I'm like, it's crazy because when my uncle tell me this story, I really did that for real. Because my mama said it, I couldn't believe it. But then my uncle hit me with it, I'm like, wow. So it was in me. It was in me, not on me.
That's what it is, man.
Right.
And you probably the first cat to mention Jazzy Faye. Cause Jazzy Faye used to put down some hits back in that time, man.
That's what I'm trying to say, man. Jazzy Faye put some real hits down. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I was a big fan of Aaliyah. Like, I used to like the music that she, like, put together. I felt like she was too fat. Like, she was too fat. And I used to always think about her and more of Jazzy Faye beats together. I felt like there was some exclusive, So that kind of led me to wanting to produce. I got interested in producing, so second grade, third grade, I joined the band, started playing all the instruments. My main instrument was the alto saxophone, but I played all of them: baritone, clarinet, flute, piccolo, drums. I used to have a couple of haters when I was in middle school because I was able to leave class early. And I'm working, I can leave class early and go to the band room, and I can be the assistant band director because I was his favorite student, right? Because I was that interested in music. So I learned how to read and write music. And up until ninth grade, that's when I started making beats, producing my own beats. And my little sister was 4. She was 4 years old when I let her make my beat tag. I said, my brother made this track. You hear that on all my beats. That's my little sister. She 18 now. That's who I'm talking about in one verse when I said, my little sister graduated, she pushing her own. That's actually who chose this song. She said this song was the one. So that's why I ran with it.
That's dope, man. And what's the story behind your stage name? I usually like asking people that question because that stage name gives the people a glimpse look on who the artist really is.
The true story behind my name, YDG GON FIX IT, is I was in me, Pee Wee Longway, Thugger, Rich the Kid, Jose Guapo. We was in the studio one night. And there was an engineer. It was an engineer there before I pulled up. He was an engineer, but I guess Longway felt like he didn't know his sound or he wasn't doing something right. So, he called me like, YDG, I need you. Pull up. As soon as I walk in the door, it's, hey, they go, hey, YDG Fix it, man. I don't know what he got going on, man. He finna go now. He finna be out your way. I'm like, I just burst out laughing. Then you hear Pee Wee say, yep, YDG GON FIX IT. He started saying it on the song. And all of a sudden, it was glued. I started receiving clients, like, They call me the mixtape songs. So the name pretty much came off of the talent of me being an engineer. I can turn dirt to gold. Like, bless.
Now, letting people know, man, like, what is the duties of an engineer? Because a lot of people don't really ask a lot of questions about the duties of what an engineer. They know about the beat maker, they know about the DJ, and so to say, producer.
It's funny that you asked me that question. All right, so I'm going to start off by saying an engineer and a producer is two different things. A producer is considered a composer, like an artist is considered a composer / writer. An engineer don't write or compose. An engineer mixes and masters. An engineer helps create that sound to the best of its ability, which an engineer records, mix and master, audio editing. That's the difference between the engineer and the producer. But that's the duties of the engineer. So when the artist book me, like, I get booked for engineering. That's what I do. That, like I told you, that's where I got my name from. So my job is to, this 4-hour block, I got to record this artist. He might pay me to mix his song. All right, so it's my duty to make sure this song is recorded with quality. I also supposed to make sure that he's not recording no crap. You know what I mean? I can't just take his money and just record anything. I could, but that's not making real music. When you got the love for music, it's not about taking his $250 for 4 hours. You know what I mean? When you
right.
got the love for music as an engineer, you gonna help him pipe that song up as an engineer. Hey, bro, I think you should say that like this, or I think you should put a little more feeling in it. Hold up, come out here, check this out. What I just did real quick. That's what an engineer's job is, not just hitting the button recording, and that's it. That's not the job. A lot of people get it twisted, and I ain't even go to school for this. I taught myself how to engineer. You know what I mean? I taught myself how to engineer, and I taught myself how to produce. But the reason I figured that was the key to engineering, because that's the only way quality music comes out. If that job is done by an engineer, a producer can't do that job. He can only make a beat. Unless he's multi-talented like myself, a producer can only make a beat. A producer probably can rap too. Yeah, he probably can hit the record button and record.
Right.
But as far as having the personality of an engineer, where you got to help build this song, not just expect the artist to do it by himself and just hit a button. It's a difference. Engineers got a big job. That's who makes the song. Producer got to have a good beat. The artist got to come with that crack, so the engineer can put that shit together, make it sound like it sounds. Excuse my language.
And not to mention, that's also the dirty work, so to speak, because you got to clean up that sound and you got to add that, because it got to sound sonically crisp to where it could just transition into different eras. Just like that's like a lot of those albums from the 90s, like for example, Mobb Deep's Infamous or Dr. Dre's 2001 albums like that. They still sound fresh. I gotta tell you, All Eyes on Me. That came out in '96.
Yeah. Right. Yep. That's like my song. The song you just played. I engineered that. I mixed it on my own. It's not even mastered. I just gave it a quality mix, which I got it being mastered now, so I can go ahead and repress it. But
now
you gotta put your real. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Now, when you work, you good. Now, when you working with somebody, like, do you prefer people to just mail you the vocals, or do you prefer to be in the studio with that person?
I would say I'm a hands-on person. That's just like on the producer side. I don't even like when artists hit me with, send me something to me email. Nah, bro, I like to cook. I like to cook it up in your face. You know what I mean? I want to feel where you coming from. You know what I mean? As the artist, as the producer, I want to feel where the artist coming from. So as the engineer, when it comes down to mixing songs and all that, I really prefer to be in the studio with you. But if the time is consuming and, you know, we got two different time zones or whatever the situation might be, then I understand mailing it to you, emailing it to you. But I feel like the best work comes out of vibing together. Because you might have something you hear that I didn't hear. As an engineer, yeah, we supposed to think about a lot, but we might miss something. We might not hear something that you heard, you know, because we listen to it in a different level. I can't say that about engineers. Engineers do hear music differently than artists. And that's something that an artist got to understand. Because when it comes down to it, when you're trusting an engineer to build something, they're stepping out of the box. Why I say stepping out of the box is because you're trusting an engineer with to pretty much build a song. He editing a song that you already had mapped out. And so when this engineer finish, it's not going to sound like how you had it mapped out, but it might sound better. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's a vibe thing when it comes down to it. I feel like if the vibe would be better if you together when you're working on it. We in the studio together, because you'll be able to interact with that track and make that gold.
Especially when you got deadlines too, because them deadlines that a lot of these guys be having, they be a bitch, man. And then they'll send you the wrong song and the vocals. And sometimes the vocals be bad stuff, and you wait for the cat to send it to you. And then now you got to clean that up.
Yeah, now I ain't gonna lie. As an engineer, I'm gonna tell you what. This what it aggravates me. Like, they might book me to mix a song. All right, so you know, I record, engineer, mix, and master on Pro Tools. So they know this, but when they send me the files, you know, I already sent your money and everything. When you send me the files, you sent me some FL Studio files or new Windows files or Logic. I'm like, man. So it caused more work on the engineer. Because now I got to convert the files you sent me to the files I need to upload to mix your song. So
hey, hold on. I be trying. Hold on 1 second, brother. I got my co-host T Max for the Facts on live now. Man, we got the talented YDG in the building, man. He's giving us game about engineering, how these niggas can't send these fucked up tracks, man.
What's going on, man? How you? You good?
What's going on, OG?
What's going on with you? Yeah, I was listening in. I was a little late coming in. My apologies. Yeah, man. And one thing about it, like you said, YG, it's something that people have to understand in terms of it. You want quality products when you are producing, and that is something I think some artists don't understand in terms of, like we've talked on this show so many times, the music that you have is your job interview to the public in terms of it, whether it's the video or it's going to be the audio. Now, for those who don't necessarily understand the nuance between mixing and mastering, and then in terms of putting it all together, what are the nuances of it in terms of actually mixing it all together in terms of the effects, and then the mastering process in terms of making sure you have the final copy that is going to be presented on an album?
Okay. Yep. I'm sorry. Run. Okay, so there is that question. Can you run that by me again? I was trying to process it.
No, it's okay. Now, in terms of like the mixing and mastering process, in terms of mixing it where you have all the sound effects that you're going to have for the album, then the mastering process of when it is actually going to be presented for the album, format. What are the main differences that people, that the consumers, the listeners have, and then the artists have to understand in terms of that distinct difference?
Okay, so the mixing process, mixing a song is more sort of like for your car, for your email, for your SoundClouds, or just to make a video on Facebook or whatever the case might be. Yeah, the DJ, it's a rough. Mixing is pretty much always the final rough draft. You know what I mean? When it gets to mastering, that's when you're bothering the peak. You gotta edit the peakage. You gotta tweak the frequencies, and you're getting it ready for like the airwaves, the radio itself. If you listen to a song playing on the radio versus a song playing on iTunes, it sounds totally completely different.
Exactly, and that's why I wanted to ask you that in terms of what you said about the video versions, how some video versions may sound different than the album version in terms of the melodies, or like you said, the equalizers, i.e. EQs and all that. So that's the difference. So that's why in terms of it. Okay, thank you. Because I always wondered about that. Yes, sir.
An album gets mastered. An album gets mastered. Like a mixtape just get mixed.
Got
you. You know what I mean? An album comes with like master files. A mastered track comes with the official master copy, the acapella copy, the instrumental, and what that's for the DJ pool to when the DJs take the vocals, they might mix it on another beat and all that type for the tempo and club purposes. And, that's the master side. You ain't doing that on the mixing side. The mixing side, you just adding drops, you cleaning up the vocals, you taking the backgrounds out, you putting the ad-libs on walkie-talkie, you playing with the plugins, you might change the beat, put the beat drops in, make the beat do this, make the beat do that. That's what mixing is. Mastering is when you finish that final sound and we start performing in like stadiums and overseas and on TV itself. Like when you got to perform and it's getting aired on BET and all that. That sound. When you hear that song, that's master. That's not a mix song. That's a master song. When you hear this on YouTube, it just uploaded on YouTube, but it don't have the official copyright and the publishing and all that. That's just mixed. It's not mastered. You'll know if it's not mastered.
Gotcha. I guess what would be a great example of it is when you listen to Griselda's Cruiserweight Coke in terms of the video version, how it is mastered, how it's mixed in terms of the effects, because they splice it in with the videos in terms of like you have the spoken word clip, and then when you actually listen to the album, some of those, sound effects in the song, great ass album by the way, what would Sheen do? But when you listen to the album version, it is totally different in terms of those effects are not in it like it is in the video version. Gotcha.
Right.
When you look at such meticulous, and this is also when you say this, YG, when you're talking about the master version, this is what would be considered master recording in terms of the original copies that are so pertinent in terms of your publishing and everything. Was that correct?
You can put it that way. Like, let's say once everything is published, you'll know when once everything is like registered and like that's when the mastering process comes. Like you're gonna master it once you know you finna have a slot on the radio, once you know you finna be aired on any type of major broadcasting or whatever like that. That's when you know the song is getting mastered. If it's in the it's levels to it, because you got You got indie, you got semi. I feel like you got indie, you got semi-major, then you got major. You know, semi-major is kind of the internet to me, because the fact you won't gain more fans until you actually hit the radio. Once the radio station bring the fans in, you'll see everything going up. So while it's playing in the clubs, it's not mastered. They just recorded it probably like 2 weeks ago, got it mixed good, and it sounds great in the club speakers. It sounds great in the car. But once it's mastered, it has the clean. You'll hear the clean version more. You'll hear the vocals on a whole nother beat on the radio with a popular DJ in the city mixing from 9 to 12 or 9 to 11, whatever time is they be, the turn up hours. Gotcha. You'll hear the clarity. The quality itself is different.
Now, obviously, you speak with such knowledge about this in terms of being a professional. When you first started in this, well, I guess the thing is, how did you really get into it in terms of really learning all of this science? And, who did you learn from to accumulate all this wisdom in the audio capacity in terms of making sure, everything does sound like it's supposed to?
All my life, I was just explaining this, bro. I really didn't, nobody didn't teach me. I was just dedicated. Like, when I was in a band, as I learned how to read and write music, after I decided on my own to join the band. So after I learned how to read and write music, I didn't go outside like that. I didn't go outside around with my friends or my cousins or my brothers who I went to school with. I stayed in the house. I had speakers. So I hooked my computer up to the speakers. I'm blasting beats I'm making. I'm blasting songs I'm recording. And, I'm learning. I'm teaching myself how to mix them. I'm playing with all the plugins, trying to see what this plugin going to do to my vocals, or trying to see what this plugin going to do to my melody when I'm making a beat. I'm playing with all of it. So I'm teaching myself. I'm learning at the same time. And what I do, I'll go outside and listen to what's playing outside, what's in the streets playing. So I'll turn the radio on, listen to the radio. Or I go to, then it was MySpace. I don't think YouTube was out there. It was MySpace and SoundClick.
Yeah.
I go on SoundClick and MySpace and listen, you know what I mean? I go listen to them, and then I go back to the radio. I go in the gas station and buy one of them CDs that they got sent right there when you go to the register. Buy one of them just to see what the quality sound like. And then I go back in the house. I go back to create, make a beat, start recording the song. I get back to teaching myself how to mix. Start playing with this. Okay, let me try this equalizer. Let me try this dynamic compressor. Let me try this flanger or phaser or reverb. I taught myself how to do it. I even tried to go to AIU, but I didn't even last a full week due to the fact I wasn't learning nothing. Everything that they was teaching, I already knew it. And then they got to the point, because at the time when I started trying to go to AIU, I had just hopped off the porch with Pee Wee Longway and Young Thug. So I gained the name. Yeah, it's like that was the wrong time to do that. I gained the name already and tried to go to school for what I was. I'm like, that was a bad idea, because everybody asking me, how you do this, how you do that, how you do this. I'm like, dang, I came to school to learn. But it's like, I got to be the teacher. So I feel bad.
But that's the thing, though, because, look, you work with Young Thug and Pee Wee Longway, and I'm a big fan. I'm going to tell you, though, I became a fan of Pee Wee Longway when I heard him spit that verse on Q Money's Neat remix. Oh, my God. I was like, whoa. Because I never really listened to Pee Wee before that. And I was like, this dude is serious. Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, you have such an innate understanding of being self-taught that it's like, to a degree, schooling would have ruined it, because you already had your instincts in terms of how you developed it. You know, once you've developed that, it's something of your own merit. And I'm not downing this in terms of education and any. Yeah, go ahead.
I would say you right. You're absolutely right. But it's like I wouldn't say it would have changed or like how. I can't say that it would have added development to my knowledge, but it's like the knowledge that I gained off of being self-taught with engineering and producing. I move fast. It allows me to move fast. So the way the school gonna teach you, they gonna teach you how to do it like this, like that, like that. It's like what I do it quicker than that. I can do this by doing this, and you be like, dang, how you just do that? I had to go through all this and this and that. I'm like, shit, I just did this. There you go. So like, where you learn that from? Yeah. What school you went to? I ain't go to school, bro. I just taught myself how to do it. Yeah.
And you already had accelerated process.
You got to be the best teacher.
Yeah, you can say that. But the most part, you got to be dedicated. And that's where you got to be determined. You got to make sure you're determined to want to know how to do that. And that's kind of where YDG come from. Young, determined, and gifted.
Man, I mean, YDG, that's inspirational. I mean, so in terms of it, like, tell us how you got that placement with Young Thug and Pee Wee. How did that come about?
One day I got out of school. I was going to Thero High School, DM Thero High School. I was living off Campbellton in some apartments called Bent Creek. I had came home from school and I started picking up beats. So I'm making the beat. I just dropped the bass line. Boom, boom, boom. So a friend, somebody I met, his name Bone Beasley, Presidential Music. He was walking up the hill. This was my first time meeting him. He was walking up the hill. He was passing by my apartment. He backed up after he passed the door. He came and knocked on the door, so I answered the door. He like, bro, that's you? I'm like, yeah, I just made it. I just got here. I just made it. He like, bro. He like, my name Bone Beans. I'm like, YDG, so. He like, what you got going on later on? I'm like, shit, making beats. He asked me did I want to go with him to the studio. I said, cool. I'm with it. We're going to make some beats. I'm like, I ain't had no money to pay for no session or nothing like that. He like, nah, bro, you good. I just want you to come with me. So I went with him. We pull up on Pee Wee Longway. We over there off of Silver Road. So I walk in. You got Pee Wee. You got MPA Duke. Well, he YSL Duke. But you got Duke, Pee Wee. You got Wicked, Turk, Spud. Quavo had pulled up. Cash had pulled up. Thug had pulled up. So, you like, what you do? Pee Wee asked me, what you do? I'm like, I made beats, produce, engineer a little bit. I said, I'm working at the engineer. At the time, and I didn't feel like I had the sound for engineering yet. I didn't feel like I was fat at engineering yet. I just knew how to record. I was still trying to teach myself how to mix. I didn't feel like I was fat with the mixing until Pee Wee called. Like, after that day, I played some beats or whatever. So I ended up leaving, went to school because I had to go to school. I was still in school. I ended up leaving. I transferred. I tried to go to Washington High School. I tried to transfer to Washington High School, and they ended up sending me to Crim. Got kicked out of Crim, and I ended up going to job pro. I graduated though. I did graduate high school. So one night he called me at 3 a.m. Hey, YDG, wake up? I need a producer engineer, man. I need you. I said, all right, I'm at the house. I'm like, shit, I'm ready. Cool. So he sent Rich Homie Quan and Wicked to come pick me up. So they picked me up. We go to the studio, and you got the same folks there. You got Thug, you got Pee Wee, you got Spud, you got Jose Guapo this time. Quavo and Takeout pulled up just to get some little reefer or whatever. So he say play some beats. I played a James Bond beat. That was the first beat I played.
Okay.
I played. He said, man, that hard. He said, pull that up. So I had to hook his studio up first because he got mad at Bone Beezy, the dude who introduced me to him. Mm-hmm. Originally, Bone Beezy was pretty low with engineer. I didn't know that until after I became the engineer. So I put the studio together. We get in there. We record. Days on my bar. And the session led on about 4 in the morning. So I left. I had to go to school. Buddy called me in school. Where you at? I need you to pull up on me. I'm like, okay. I pull up after school at 3 o'clock. He said, look, he showed me a video. It was like 4 or 5 days after we recorded the James Bond song. He showed me the video. It's on World Star, going up. I'm like, whoa. He like, yeah. He like, welcome. He like, you my producer now. And ever since then, we locked in. I'm like, so I started pulling up, recording more songs. Quavo started pulling up, doing hooks and recording shit. And it just went from there.
And once you started that networking, YDG, that's dope, man. Like he said, it's dope. So once you got your foot in the door, and I mean, dude, that's a hell of a way to come in. I mean, you just happen to come to the studio, you see the Migos, all of them, Pee Wee and all of them just in a regular studio session. I mean, shit like that just don't happen like that, but, especially for a beginner coming in, at the time.
Right.
And you are like, you're like right in the mix of Atlanta hip hop royalty right there. So so we get to the process of you connecting with all these people. So what is it like when you're actually beginning to get those calls to work for everybody else, and then your name getting out there, and then just like the whole business aspect as well as the music? What is that like when did you realize that you were becoming like a big name out there?
I ain't gonna lie, I used to get irritated because I didn't understand. I'm like, my phone won't stop ringing. But then I started to understand the business. Like, I had to learn the business, so I started to understand the business of it, and I'm like, okay, now I see why all the calls coming through. So when I get booked for like studio time or a feature or the mix a song or whatever it might be, and they go to talking about Pee Wee or Thug or how you do this or how you do that, I'm like, you just got to be yourself, bro. Like, you don't do too much. Like, as an engineer, or a producer, don't do too much to try to make him like your beats, or don't do too much to try to make him like you. Have your own personality. You got to stay yourself and just stay consistent. Like, be silent with yourself and your craft. You don't want to overdo it, because people really get scared of that. They don't know how to take it. Sometimes people don't know how to take came from nothing. You know what I mean? So you can't really act like you came from. You can't really act like you came from nothing. Okay, to show the thirst in you. And so it was just crazy because here I am, a regular person. Now I'm in the studio every day with all these major artists that I was just listening to every day on the radio. And it's like, I didn't get groupied out or, cause shit, I started seeing them every day, so I ain't got no reason to get groupied out. I see them too much. People started asking me, why you don't take no pictures? Why you don't post no pictures on Instagram or Facebook? I'm like, I'm with them every day. But as I said, that was the irritating part of me, because I didn't know the business. I didn't know that all that is like, that's gathering.
Part of your brand.
That's the gathering. They go to the documentary, I ain't know that.
That's the best. Yeah.
But now I know, so that's how that goes.
But one thing about it, though, is that you got the personality for this. Listening to you, King and myself here, you're so grounded, you're so rooted in your work ethic, and a good friend of ours, the Mix King, Steve Stoller, out of New York, a very good friend of ours, talks in a similar way about the process. He worked with Mob D, and a lot of QB artists. And, when we had him on, he was talking about the process of just, working with these guys and a lot of times developing friendships with them. Because once you really have a chemistry with the artist, you begin to have an ear for what they want. And that's how it just becomes more easier to facilitate great product.
Right.
But definitely in terms of, like you said, but, in terms of the pictures, a lot of people, would think that you'll be trying to, use them as photo ops, but it's like, to hear you talk, this is a job to you. It's like, yo, I came to work. That's what this is. But,
right.
But as you've learned in the game, too, those pictures are also your part of your branding as well. And not from a business perspective, but it shows that these individuals have had faith in you and they co-signed you, that they have confidence in you, that not only are you going to work on their product, but you're going to bring fires. And
right.
that type of publicity, money can't buy. When you're co-signed, by people that are really, popular in the industry. When you look, pretty much in terms of your inspiration in terms of beat making, when you look at guys like, Lex Luger, Southside, so many other Southern artists, of course, Shorty Red, who else are some of the influences that you may have, East, West, down South, in terms of who really inspire you?
I wouldn't say, now that you mentioned that as far as inspiration, my favorite producer out of that bunch, I know I said Jazzy Faye, but my favorite producer ever was Vibe. You heard of producer Vibe? I think there was a group called Vibe Beats. DYBE.
DYBE? What was some of their credits? What was some of their credits?
It was a lot of people used to use their beats. They was YouTube producers. A lot of people used to download and record on their beats. If I am mistaken, Travis Porter is one of them.
Okay.
I think they made the I forgot who produced it. Yeah, Travis Porter was one of them. But they used to be my favorite producers. I used to love just getting on YouTube, listening to their beats. And it's like, that's when I came up with my tag. And I heard they tag, Vibe. I'm like, okay. So I ended up coming up with my tag. My brother made a good track.
Yeah. And in terms of it, how do you feel from where, how do you feel from where you see the game today in terms of music, in terms of production, from even 5 years ago to how it is today? Do you find it similar? Do you find it different? Do you see the process changing in any regard? What's your observation?
Well, I can say it has changed a little bit. I look at things a little different now. Like, it's more of a bigger picture to me now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't make, like, it's easy to make a beat in 7 minutes or 8 minutes. That's nothing.
Right, different.
Like, it's easy to do that, but now I don't spend 8 minutes on a beat, or I spend at least 30 minutes on a beat, or if I'm gonna create that melody. Like, it's a critique thing. It's a critique thing. You critique yourself. Like, I listen to a bunch of my old stuff and I be like, it's hot, but I know how much better I am now and what I can do. So some people ask me to why not redo my old stuff? I'm like, 'cause it's so much, like, then I didn't make music the way I make it now. Then there wasn't too much thought. Then there wasn't too much thought into how I want this to sound, or how I want that to sound, or how I want this to drop, or how I want that to drop. Then it was more so of, oh man, it's gonna be hard. The streets don't eat this up. It wasn't a bigger picture then. Now it's a bigger picture, so we ain't gonna just put anything down. We gonna make sure it sound right. We gonna make sure it hit right. All that good stuff. You know what I mean?
It's called evolution. And it's funny because when you said about how when you listen to some of your old stuff, how, you think about I'm so much better than this now in terms of what I started. It's like kind of is reminiscent, of Dre in a sense, because Dre says, once he listens to something, once the album drops, he doesn't listen to it anymore. It's like, he's like, unless he just happens to hear it, he doesn't listen to it anymore once the album comes out. He's like, I'm done with it. He's like, Dre said pretty much at one time he doesn't like really listen to his old stuff.
Right. And see what I learned, now what I learned about that with that particular situation. I can't wait to listen to my old stuff, especially if it's uploaded, if it's released, because once you drop something hot now, everybody's going to go back and listen to your old stuff. Like, now your old stuff is going to be searched. So now they want to see what they want to see what you were talking about then. And that I feel like, it kind of helps show your diversity.
But that's always a great reference point. Yeah. Go ahead, King. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say, now, producers, there's producers battling the debate is already going within hip-hop right now, especially with this whole thing going on with the main be a Puff Daddy. First thing like that. Now, you being behind the boards, would you consider Puff Daddy to be a producer?
Okay. If we can, I'll say technically, no. Because he's not sitting there, he's not pushing the buttons.
Right,
but
he doesn't play instruments, right.
But co-production, you're giving a lot of inputs on production.
Right.
You giving a lot of ideas, you issuing a lot of ideas, you issuing a lot of details, you break down the details. You know what I mean? If he's literally in the studio with a producer and he's inputting melodies, hey, I think you should do this. Dun, 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 dun. Now, if he's doing that, then cool. Yeah, that's co-production. I wouldn't say he's producing though. I personally feel like they only say he's producing because he's rich. But
you know something, man. But what you said is real. And my bro, King and me, we always talk about this in terms of, Puffy has been very successful in terms of, the music industry. He's one of the moguls, no two ways about it. Even if there are some questionable issues in terms of business practices, we can say that on the air because they've been documented. So it's not like we're slandering the man. There has always been stuff out there about him that hasn't always been positive. But one thing we can say is the man does have an ear for hooks and melody. There's always been the issue, I think, with a lot of hardcore hip-hop heads, though, like what you were saying, because Puffy doesn't play instruments. He doesn't, like you said, he's not building the beat from scratch. He'll, like you said, put inputs on it, this, that, and the other. When you look at the situation with Jermaine Dupri, who is, one of
building beats from scratch. Jermaine building beats for real.
and
that's the producer.
And Jermaine, he is a producer. To a degree, he's one of the more underrated. Is he on a Dre or a Premier level? To me, not necessarily in terms of overall, but in terms of what he has done in terms of bringing hot music to the airwaves. I mean, you cannot deny what Jermaine. This is some trivia that people may not know. For those that don't know, in terms of Chris Cross's 1992 album, Totally Crossed Out, Jermaine Dupri holds the Guinness Book of World Records for youngest producer ever at 17 years old to have a platinum album.
They're real. And they don't give him his flowers for that. That's real.
Yeah.
I wonder why about that, because I wonder why is that, because it seems like they always trying to, like, little brother Jermaine Dupri when it comes to holding him to a certain regard next to Dre, next to Pharrell, next to a lot of the guys that came out around that time. But he got some heat out there.
I think y'all, when it comes to Jermaine, and this is, and I preface this by saying this is not to minimize or disrespect anything he's done. Jermaine has always really been known as being a pop producer in terms of a lot of music that would be party and pop music, where you look at guys like Dre, when you look at guys like Premier, when you look at guys like even Puffy, who have such an amalgam of different styles from R&B to hardcore hip-hop. You know, when you look at Puff with Bad Boy, he had Big and Craig Mack. When you look at Dre, I mean, he had the Chronic, he had Doggy Style, you know. When you look at Premier, you know, Gangstar, you know, M.O.P., you know, these guys had music that crossed a broad spectrum of, you know, a demographic. And Jermaine has kind of always been known as being kind of just, you know, he's good, but it's like his music is just for the party crowd. But when it really, you know, he's never really had that cutthroat, like, in your face, boom bap, like, oh shit type thing that, you know, really I think has set it off. And I think sometimes there's been perceptions about his attitude, you know, where he has said some things that were, fuck it, I'm going to say it, arrogant. You know, he said, I think, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, I say this. I think I saw something I read in the Double XL magazine some years ago. He said, because he was talking about how people were trying to malign him for his lack of real lyrics, and he said if he really dedicated himself to the writing, he would be somewhere in that Nas and Jay-Z range in terms of composition. I'm like, no, Jay-Z, you are not nowhere near those guys. I'm like, you're great at music, and, you know, you are great at what you do with that, but you are not nowhere near
good with that,
writing what...
That's the first time I heard that quote.
Yeah.
He bugging. I want what he's smoking on.
I'm telling you.
But he's great at what he does, and that's not to minimize him. I mean, when you know, he and I think one thing about it, when we look at the verses with everything that's been going on with it, y'all, I know for you, YDG, this would especially be pertinent for you, especially for being a producer. You do mixer, engineer, everything, because you do it all. I think it's great musical history. Just like what we saw with Ja Rule and Fat Joe, what we saw with the Lox and Dipset, what we saw with Snoop and DMX, rest in peace, what we saw with Escape and SWV and so many others. This gives the younger generation an understanding of the musical gems that these legends gave us. And I think the verses as well, you know, this is about education as well for the youngest to really understand, like, you know, and as we get older, we sometimes look at the youth in terms of not sometimes appreciating our, you know, King and myself were older, you know, our elements of hip hop. But then also too, we got to understand they weren't born during that time, so it's not going to have the same resonation for them because they weren't allowed to really understand that era. Does it make their music bad today? No, because they're simply rhyming from what their perspective is at the time. I do have an issue when the youngins, some of them, not all, because some of them really, really hold tradition tightly and do it proud. I do have an issue when some of them try to act like they're better than the ones that came before them. And I'm like, no, because these are the individuals that laid the foundation for what you are today. And you didn't give them their respect.
Right. And, you know, I ain't gonna lie, I had that issue, too. Cause I be like, how do you feel like you was at? Where you think you got the idea to make music from? Like, you can't compare yourself to where you came from. You came from them. So you can never feel like you better than them because if it wasn't for them, you wouldn't be here. I look at it like that because it's hip-hop. If it wasn't no hip-hop, then how would you be an artist today? Would you be playing a guitar? Would you be singing pop music? Would you be in the chorus class? Or would you be making gospel music? How would you be a hip-hop artist today if you felt like what you are doing now is better than then. You know, I got an old school spirit. You know, I just stay in my lane, man. 'Cause it's like some of these young cats, you can't really tell them that. That's why I limit. I don't say I limit my clients, but I try to limit my personal levels with my clients. You can't get on the personal level with everybody. Like, you can't be cool with all your clients because everybody don't understand like you understand. You know what I mean?
You gotta keep this thing business, even when it seems like you in the studio with a lot of these guys. You're like, oh, I'm in the studio with this guy. This guy's a legend.
Right.
You know, he passed the soundtrack to my childhood. At the end of the day, this is business, dude. Like, when it comes to that paperwork,
right.
Ain't no fan here.
Believe it or not. Okay, when I just started this interview, I was at a studio. You know, studios being trap spots too now. So I was just at the studio.
Keeping it real. Yeah, you're right.
I told this man, I'm gonna say at least an hour before 9 o'clock that I got a 9 o'clock interview. I got to be there. So, you know, I got there at least 3 hours before 9. So I'm like, anything you want to do, make a beat, you want to record a song, you want me to do a verse, hop on something, do it now before 9 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
When I kid you not, this man just got mad. And I ain't care. You see, I kept talking me out. He got the ride. I went on ahead and got him right. Directing up. Yeah. Business is business. Yeah, you my brother. You my brother / my artist. But you got to understand the business. It's just like, if you tell me I got a radio interview, bro, I got to be, all right, I'm cutting everything off at that specific time you told me. Okay, that's important. You know what I mean? And I support you. That shows support. That's a business part of a relationship, of a personal relationship. If I can't respect that you got a radio interview at 9, that means I don't respect the business side. So, you know, he'll be calling me in the morning, though. I ain't tripping.
Is what he say? He'll get over it.
Yeah, he'll get over it. At the end of the day, he was right there when I got the name YDG GON FIX IT. And he came to me, hey, I want to rap. I don't want to trap no more. I want you to help me get out with the music. All right, you got to listen to what I tell you. I learned the business, bro. I ain't going to tell you nothing wrong. Everything I learned, you my brother. I'm going to tell you if you're going to do this. It's going to become a job. So you got to prepare for it. So, you know, when you don't listen, I just go my way.
And that's real talk too, man. Because one thing about it is you're not listening to you. You're not. The reality is, you know, you are real with it, and that's something that some artists expect it to be. You know, we're not saying this about anyone in particular, but we know some artists have their egos, and in terms of that, They want a situation where, oh, well, when you come around them, you got to bow down and do what they're going to say. And it's like, no, motherfucker, you hired me for a job. That's what this is. I'm like, especially if I've already got the money. So there's already been a contract drawn up. I've already been paid. I'm going to render my services to you because of that. But if we got an issue where you start acting up, just remember, I've already got my money. So how are we going to do this?
Right. And see, and it's crazy you said it, because 2015, you know, I kind of fell back from the industry to learn the business. Like, I was, like, when I met Pee Wee in 2013, I was fresh. Young cat. Oh, he hot. I don't know nothing. I don't know. I supposed to have beats registered, copywritten, this and that, BMI. I ain't know none of that. I just know how to make a beat. Hey, I'm fine. What's happening? Hop out the porch. Oh, he lit. Until I seen an artist that I produced for, you know, the quarter rolled around for them royalties. Now, the artist that got paid about 15 racks, 15,000. I'm like, whoa. I hear what he get paid for. It's for the last project from 3 months. Oh man, hold up, don't I supposed to have some money? Now I'm licking boo-boo face because I didn't know the business. This is 2014. So, you know, I'm
right.
like, damn. Wasn't nobody explaining to me. None of the major artists, I'm with them every day, but ain't nobody telling me, hey, you got to handle the business, you need to talk to such going to get your shit right. You ain't going to get yourself situated. Ain't nobody talking to me. Ain't nobody letting me know nothing. And I'm graduating school, but ain't nobody telling me about this part of the business I need to be learning. So I fell back.
Right.
You know, I kind of went under the radar. I was in Atlanta. I was still accepting my bookings and everything as far as producing and engineering and mixing. But I learned the business. I contacted a couple of entertainment lawyers. And, you know, I had to get my mind right. And now I feel like I'm ready. I can help brand somebody else now. Now that I know what it takes to brand myself on my road and my journey to success, whoever I can help, I got you. You know, it didn't come. Some of it didn't come free for me, but I made it to where I can pick it up and learn it without having to skin down for it. You know. What I mean by free or skin down, they're not going to give you the game.
Right.
Unless they see you sincere about what you're doing. If you're not sincere about it, ain't nobody going to care because you got this arrogant attitude and you feel like whatever you put out is going to go, da-da-da. You feel like because you got money, it's this, that, da-da. No, it don't work like that. You don't know the business, your money don't mean nothing. I had to learn that.
Man. That's real.
It's something
because
to have it's something to have a 5 million selling record, but yet don't have $5.
Exactly. I'm like, that's crazy.
Look at what happened with
that's
TLC.
That's why I'm not signed to nobody. I own my own label. I don't call it a record label. Because I don't have $1 million to sign no artists. I'm not even going to lie to you. But what I can offer you is good artist development, good engineering, good production, good vibes, positive vibes, good knowledge on the business that you might not know. You know what I mean? Good pointers and free game. I got all that to offer. A good relationship. You know?
And the reality is, man, some things are more important than money. Because the thing is, you're more of a cultivating consultation industry that happens to make dope-ass music as well. Because you're giving people an understanding of what they're supposed to do. And, you know, it's great because in terms of you owning your own enterprise like that, you're 1,000% in control of your own shit. And that's one thing. It's like what, you know, King and myself do with this show. We're independent. And one thing we love about this is that we can get whoever we want on the show. There's nobody telling us this person ain't big enough or whatever. It's like, no, we get whoever we feel like. And that's the motto of our show. No guest too big, no guest too small. We get whoever we want to get.
Okay, look, we rockin' with you, man.
I appreciate it, man. I'm rocking with y'all. I appreciate y'all for having me.
Definitely, man. So, you know, we probably about to go on the hour too, and I know you got to go back to the studio and handle some business, man. So tell anybody that's following us, that's following the show, where to find you on social media handles and where to find your projects.
You can find me on all social media at YDG GON FIX. That's FIXIT. That's YDG GON FIX IT. All together. It's on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I'm on PlayStation. I like Call of Duty, so you know it's the same. YDG GON FIX IT if you want to play with me. I'm not Hollywood. Like I be with the stars, I've been around the stars, but I never set myself to act like one. You know, you gotta move a certain way in the industry, but I'm not Hollywood. I interact with my people. If they love my music, they rock with me. I'm gonna interact with you. I'm gonna talk back to you. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna treat you like you're a nobody or something like that. Because I don't believe in it. Everybody is somebody. It's just up to that somebody to make it known.
Man, look, dude.
Yeah, brother.
We appreciate